From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to take a look at the latest activity now. Where we saw most of the rain, unfortunately, was to the east of the Six Rivers Lightning Complex, and you can see it right here. You know, you look at this data. This is going through the overnight hours into early this morning. And what you're seeing here is the fire kind of just showing activity along the whole complex here. So we're seeing little flare-ups, then they kind of died down, then another one right next to it might flare up. But we're kind of just seeing it still fairly active. Keep in mind, this is the one area that really, or one of the few areas that did not see any rainfall out of the rain that we saw yesterday. It seemed it just wanted to cut off right around Del Norte County. But you look at the rest of the area where there are fires, and there are still a lot of active fires out there. But the rain helped, and that's why we're not seeing as much activity out there overnight. Now, there's probably going to be a very good chance that as we go in the next couple of days, as a lot of these fires begin to reemerge, we're going to start seeing more activity here. And another thing that's interesting too, I'm going to take you out of this and take you to the weather computer now. And this is looking at the fire tracker, and of course you can see all the activity here as well. Now, this activity here is going to be showing up more and more over the next few days on the satellite image here. So again, we'll kind of watch that. Now, let's take a look at the fires across the entire kind of northwestern portion of the state and their respective distances. Now, keep in mind, the area in red is where we've seen the most recent activity. This is usually about 24 hours old or older when we start getting in the yellows and oranges. So you can see the outer perimeter here of the head fires where we see most of the activity. And there's, of course, all the different communities and their distances. You can see the Den fire here from Horace Creek. Take you to the south side of the fire, you got the Scott fire, how close it is to that of Etna. Head fire is a little bit farther away. You get out to Wairika, about 17.3 miles. Meanwhile, we take you out to the Happy Camp area. There you can see the U-Fish and the Malone fire. Both of these are about the same distance, by the way, as they're to the south, but it looks like U-Fish fire has seen more recent activity here than the Malone fire. The Deep fire, Trinity County, most of the activity, as we've seen over the last few days, has been on the south fringe of the fire. And there you can see some of the distance there from Coffee Creek, Trinity Center, Covington Mill, and not to mention the Trinity Alps Resort. Okay, let's take you out to the Deep fire still, and of course there's the southern fringe where most activity is. Highway 299, still over 10 miles away from Helena, Junction City, and Weaverville. So still looking at some pretty long distances there. Obviously you want to hear that, right? All right, so with the Smith River Complex, I mean, it is just, you saw it on the satellite image there. There are a lot of fires within the complex. The biggest one is kind of off to the east. So we're going to kind of take a look at Smith River, Crescent City, and Hiuchi here, at least with this particular complex here. This fire is about 6.3 from Smith River, 15.5 from Crescent City, and Hiuchi about 9.9 miles. Now, again, you take a look at the bigger cluster of fires right here, and you can see all the most recent activity. It looks like mostly on the outer fringe of where that fire perimeter is. You've got another fire here down to the south, but we take a look at Gas Key. Here's this part of the fire, which, by the way, you can see kind of a new fire perimeter here outside of some of the most recent activity. So the satellite data may not be keeping up with some of the most recent data coming in from these fire perimeters, as well as kind of the south end here. But you can see from that official fire perimeter, we're about 3.3 miles from Gas Key, and then this perimeter here on this side is about 2.6 miles from Gas Key, and that same area is about 7.5 miles from Hiuchi. So again, this is the fire that this whole complex is what we're most concerned about when we take a look at the overall grand scheme of things. But boy, oh boy, there is still a lot of fires out there that we are, of course, just as concerned about. There's the Perch fire. You've got the areas in red here indicating some of the most recent activity there, about 2.3 miles from that official perimeter to Orleans. And we take you to the south here. I like seeing less red here on the map here when we're talking about Hoopa and Willow Creek. This is the Lone Pine fire. And I want to take you in a little bit closer here because I just wanted to show you the vicinity. So you've got Hiuchi, that's the center of town, but of course you can see the south part of town right here. There's the perimeter. That's about a half a mile away. But what I'm noticing is that you've got the Trinity River right here, and the fire perimeter just really follows the shoreline on the north and, of course, the east side of that fire. So if we can keep it on that side of the river, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. And so far, it looks like the firefighters are doing a fantastic job in making sure that happens. Now, we take a look at the pilot fire. Again, the area's in red here. Mad River, 12.2 miles. High and Palm, about 5.5. And 9.2 miles from Dinsmore. Let's take you out to the sulfur fire. I haven't seen much growth on this fire. I'm sure it's grown, but we're not seeing a ton of growth, which is obviously good news. Still pretty far from Hayfork. There's High and Palm, and of course then we've got Mad River, and not to mention, let me back up. I don't want to hit my wall here. It's hard for me to back up. Got a small space. Dinsmore, about 7 miles. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see, where's this going next here? Oh, there it is, up to the north. We're going to take out to the Lost Fire, and there you can see Johnson's about 4.8. There's, of course, the eastern side of the fire where we're seeing the most recent activity. Then you go to Berry Glen and Oric, about 2.5 and 4.2 respectively. Let's take you to the south. This is the last one we'll take a look at. This is the Slide Fire. You can see a lot of yellow on there, so that's at least a day or two old. So we're not seeing any recent activity with the Slide Fire, but one of the closer communities is Cavello at 27 miles. All right, we're done with the fires. Okay, let's get into the forecast and talk about that rain that we saw yesterday, especially off to the east. We did see, of course, a lot in Trinity County, Siskiyou County, but Del Norte, Humboldt, not much. So what we've got here for today is still some leftover mountain showers, maybe some thunderstorms, especially in Trinity County, but Del Norte, Humboldt, probably dry again today. But overall, and this is great news to report, just not seeing the overall extensive thunderstorm activity. You think about the last week, week and a half, every afternoon, every evening, somewhere, there was heavy rain, which is good, but the problem with that is that was associated with a lot of lightning strikes. So we've seen a lot of lightning strikes in the last week and a half, but we're getting a break from that. Now, today, there still may be a few lightning strikes, but certainly not to the extent that we've seen over the last week and a half or so. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Inland temperatures low 80s for the coast, in the mid-60s for your daytime highs. Taking you to Trinity County. Now, I've just got, of course, the partly cloudy skies there. Most of us are going to be dry. This is going to be one of those just a pop-up here and there. There may be an isolated thunderstorm, and that's the extent of what we're going to see. We'll take a look at Futurecast here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. But this is the low pressure system that brought us the rain yesterday, because the area of low pressure that's associated with this was over here. That wraparound moisture kind of moved right into Northern California. As this shifts eastward, we start losing that tap of moisture, and as a result, we see less rain. Good news. We could use the rain, don't get me wrong, but we don't want those lightning strikes, okay? So we take a look at what we got going on this afternoon, take about 4 o'clock, see how I was talking about maybe a pop-up shower here and there. In some of the typical spots around western Siskiyou County, maybe some more thunderstorms there. And, you know, there really is a pretty decent chance I think we'll see some of those lightning strikes. But again, it's not very widespread. It's not a massive outbreak. But yeah, dry for Del Norte and Humboldt counties. We could certainly use some rain here. I'd love to see some rain, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. There's Wednesday, and it is dry. No more lightning strikes, no more rain. And that'll be the case going into your Thursday as well. However, by Thursday night, that may change. We could see a few light showers up to the north, northeast, but nothing for us here in the North Coast. Here are some of those rainfall totals, and it seems like it just cut itself off right here. Now, of course, later in the evening, we did see some of that heavier rainfall. We saw the mudslides, debris flows. Everett Memorial Highway was closed down near Mount Shasta City. There were flood watches and warnings. A lot of rain off into central and northwestern Siskiyou County, of course, creating problems there. But, of course, things have quieted down. But it seemed like it just kind of cut off right about here, and we didn't really see anything for Hoopa, Crescent City, or Eureka. Now, I did see that there was maybe a trace or a little bit here around the Hoopa area and down towards Willow Creek, but certainly nothing all that significant. Now, we take a look at the wave heights, and there you can see for today, not looking bad, about 5 feet. As we take into Wednesday, we're probably going to start to see those waves begin to increase in height. So we look at your marine forecast for today. North winds at 5 to 10 knots, your waves from the northwest at 4 feet at 8 seconds, and there are no alerts in the forecast. We'll certainly take that. Temperatures are going to still be pretty mild. Now, I've got the partly cloudy skies here. Keep in mind, there could be a stray shower or thunderstorm for Trinity County, but I think everyone else will be dry today. 72 degrees for Garberville, 84 in Willow Creek, 63 for Crescent City. And there you can see Shelter Cove, about 69 degrees. Here's your 7-day outlook. It's dry, and there is that slight chance for a shower or thunderstorm in Weaverville and really Trinity County in general. And then look at these temperatures. Yes, they're going to go back up by Thursday, but they'll drop back down. For Trinity County in the mid to upper 80s, and for Hoopa and some of the inland areas in the low 90s. Looking at that 7-day outlook for Eureka, we've got those temperatures in the mid to upper 60s today and tomorrow, mid 60s on average for Thursday through the weekend, under partly to mostly cloudy skies.